This is Steffen with TradeAtomy.com, and in this video I will show you how to work with the powerful alerts in global trend lines that allow you to have alerts even for symbols that are not actively on the chart. I prepared an S&P 500 futures chart here with most of the drawing objects that we are working with, and we have the bell icon for every drawing object that gives us an indication if there is an alert. If you click on the bell icon, then you have two options. One is the TS alert, that is the TradeStation alert. That is when you go to the drawing object settings, that will turn on the alert from here. The limitation with TradeStation alerts is that when I change the symbol on the chart, then I will never get the alert, even if the price level of the line is broken. So the second option here is to create an alert, and that will be a global trend lines alert. And that opens a dialog. It says price alert, then it is linked to this horizontal line. I have a button here, remove link, that we look at later, and we can give that alert a name. It is pre-filled with the name of the drawing object, alert, and then depending on what it is, but here it will be the price. We have an active flag. We have a symbol field that is read-only because this alert is linked to a drawing object. The same goes for the price. What we can choose here is the trigger price, open, high, low, close. And we can say if that should be lower, equal, greater, etc. It will automatically default with where the last price is compared to the line. So the last price is now clearly above the line, so the comparison is preset with lower or equal. The intrabar flag can be set to evaluate the alert on every tick, and if that one is turned off, then the alert is only evaluated at the end of the bar. This type is preset with daily. All the settings here are preset with whatever is on the chart. So we have a daily chart now, and session and natural hours are not available. If you go to a minute chart here, for example, you can set the bar interval. That could be 15 minutes, and then you can choose the session and the natural hours flag. These are all settings that are equal to the normal symbol settings. Press OK here, that will create an alert. And if we go to the alerts tab now, we see there's an alert. It is active. Here's an indication, the name, the symbol, the target, the last price, and in percentage how far the last price is away from the target. And the bell icon here has a color gradient from orange to green. That basically means that both alerts are active. So if we turn off the TradeStation alert, it will only be green, and if we say we have only a TradeStation alert, it is orange. So that's for the horizontal line. It's pretty easy, it's just a simple price. If we create an alert for a rectangle, then there is an option to ask if it should be for the start or the end price of the rectangle, and you can choose one of that, and then the rest is basically the same. And the ellipses and the text, they don't support alerts. That leaves us with the trend line, and the trend line has a specialty, and that is the slope of the trend line. And the slope of the trend line is automatically calculated, so on every bar it will increase or decrease by the slope, and therefore you cannot change the bar type for a trend line because the slope is of course linked to the bar type. So we create this one, and there is a second type of alert, that is a time alert. Look now at the price alerts, but if you use a vertical line, it has no price, so it will automatically create a time alert. I turn this off for now because it would immediately trigger. The difference here is basically that there is a date and time and the time zone in comparison to the price data that you have for price alerts. So we have our vertical line alert here, and it shows now the target is on the 21st of February. And since this alert is linked to the drawing object, That means that whenever we update the drawing object, that the target also updates here accordingly. And if we turn that on now, we have a time alert that will trigger on the 16th of April at 4 p.m. and that is exactly 4 days. If we turn this one to 1 minute chart, for example, then we get a greater resolution that it's 4 days, 7 hours and 5 minutes until then. So the time that is compared to calculate the distance to the target is also based on the timestamp of the bar, right? A daily bar has the timestamp of 4 p.m. and therefore it can only calculate the date part of the distance. But if you go to a minute level, then it will be on the minute level. So all these alerts are now linked with drawing objects, and that means that whenever you change a drawing object, that can also be from another chart. So the horizontal line here is linked with our first alert. And if we were to change this from any chart, then this will also automatically update the alert even if it's here. So that works across charts. And on the other chart, you also see the indication that there is an alert, but the bell icon is slashed. That means the alert is not active here, but there is an existing alert. And if you click here, it will even show you on which chart ID that line has an alert. The alerts are fixed linked to the chart ID, so this alert portion will not replicate to other charts. That's specific for one chart. Means that you typically should have one main chart where you want to manage your alerts or have different alerts on different charts. And that again is because it's linked to the chart ID, and the chart ID could be lost if TradeStation crashes or so. I want to reiterate from the prior video that I recommend to, at least for this chart, to set a fixed chart ID from here. If we would change the trend line on a different chart, let's say we come to the 240-minute chart here, and we would change the trend line, then it will also update here, but because the bar type is not a daily bar type anymore, the underlying attributes would change. So now the slope belongs to the 240-minute chart. So that's just a thing to keep in mind. The result will be the same, but of course, if you have the intrabar turned off, that will now be evaluated at the close of every 240-minute bar. If you would want to unlink an alert from a trend line, you can do that from here. You can say remove link, and then you basically have a simple price alert where all the fields are open. You could change the symbol, etc. And that is basically then the same than if you would come here, where you can just create an alert independently from a drawing object, and you can of course create price alerts and time alerts, and then you can specify all the information here. For the symbol, the moment you start changing the symbol, it turns orange. That means you will have to press enter to confirm the symbol that you want to use. So if you put some information here that does not exist, it will become red, and you basically cannot create that alert because it always needs to be a symbol that exists. If we were to type @US and confirm that with enter, then we see that the label changes accordingly and we get the price in a formatted way here. I don't know exactly where the bonds prices are at the moment, but let's say 140, and we want that on a weekly chart. We want that to trigger when the low is below 140. Press OK. So now we have a simple price alert from a different symbol. It just triggered. So that means that US is already below. All right, let's check where bonds prices are at the moment. 116. So we come back to the alerts tab, and you could now change that to greater equal, whatever. So you can use things like the low must be greater than, and then only check that at the end of each week and activate that, and now it will be checked the end of each week if the low is above 140, and if yes, then you receive an alert. And of course, you can also create time alerts manually. You could, for example, get a reminder for 24th of April and confirm that, and then you have a time alert like this. And you can use, of course, stock prices and whatnot here. So we say a Tesla price gets above 200, and the orange indicator means that either the market is closed or it is waiting for the next tick. So orange typically means it is active, but the last tick was the close of a bar, and green means it is actively updating at the moment, and when this one is gray, that would mean that the alert is not active. So we've seen already the options for the alert. You can of course delete alerts and edit alerts. What you can also do here is you can double click on the name and specify a name. From here you don't have to go to the alert dialog for that. So you could simply update it here quickly. And then when you press somewhere else, it will update the name of the alert. And the options is again a little bit context sensitive. So if we go back to the S&P 500 future, and then if we go to one of the drawing objects that's from our chart, then we can also highlight that from here. But the general availability is always delete and edit the alert. And the alert that is triggered is a normal alert like you get from other indicators. So the alert will be based on the alert settings from the indicator settings. So you can, this setting here doesn't really play much of a role, but the notification settings play a role. So in my case, I would get an audio and a pop-up window for 15 seconds and also an email sent to my email address.